Alright, what's up YouTube? Millennial Dividends here for September 4th market update for my account. Coming off of a really up and down last week and a half, the last week of August coming into September, which is historically the lowest returning month of the year. As a portfolio update, going to show y'all that I added a position in ULTY. I waited a long time to add this position because of that NAV loss. Now that it is down, we'll take a closer look. It's red pretty much across the entire spectrum, but if you look for its total time since February 29th, 2024, that's 73%. Based upon my estimates and the same thing that you kind of saw with QYLD a couple years ago, it likely has another 6 to 9% of NAV loss that it's going to sustain, and I estimate that's probably in the next 1 to 3 months before it really starts to get back to that stable level where the share price is going to remain mostly the same, and also that dividend is going to have a little bit more stability to it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hop in here. I'm going to keep buying down probably for the next 1 to 3 months until I see that stability. But just threw $250 into ULTY. You have 42.5 shares there, and that becomes the 7th weekly payer that I have in my portfolio now. 72 is the amount of cash that I have right now, and then we're also using that 7,500 in margin, making an actual usable account of right at $80,000. This is a little irritating to me. I understand that a lot of people make money off of options, but for these two contracts, for it to have immediately held up over $8,000 that I can't use in my account right now because it's being held as collateral for these two contracts that I still have 15 days on each of those. And the premium for both of those, because I was just trying it out, both of them together is about $20. And I don't think that holding over $8,000 in collateral is a good return on that kind of capital, or return on my time for an entire month. So I'm likely not going to be doing full month options again if I really get back into options at all. I'm going to continue the strategy of building up my weekly and my monthly payers. Like I said earlier, 7 weekly payers now, a good number of shares that I've spread out across them. I don't think I have $1,000 in any single one of these yet, but that's the plan, to put a little over 1,000 in each one and then kind of see how everything shakes out. Then my monthly payers are paying considerably more than my weeklies. QQQI, SpyT, ULTY, SPHD, just because I've had them longer in the portfolio and they've built up a much more substantial position. Just O by itself is close to $100 a month in that one position, 303 shares. But all of the dividends right now have drip turned off, and they go into hitting the margin down, which just my weekly payers pay 20 times what the margin is going to cost me in interest. So it's never like the margin's not going to get beat down over time, because I pay like $1.15 a day to use $7,500 in margin. So there's never really any risk there with that not going down, and with a margin call happening. This is about 9.5% of margin utilization. My personal maximum right now would be never to go over 20%. So once I get this $8,200 back in 15 days from these two contracts, then most of that is just going to become usable margin, and then that investing will become a lot closer to 90,000 of what's actually generating income, and then that portfolio is going to be a lot more dividend heavy, and then it's going to pay it down considerably faster because the dividends will be higher. but I also still am putting $50 of my own money every Monday into the portfolio to beat that down even quicker, because the faster you pay that margin down with dividends and your own money combined, the faster you can take out more margin to create larger dividends. And eventually that cycle is going to have to stop unless you do what I'm planning on doing further in the future, which is once I have a usable margin amount that's probably over $120,000, $130,000, then I'm probably just going to be taking that, $5,000, $6,000 of margin every month and just pulling it into my checking account, and then having my dividends pay that off. And then once of course the dividends are able to sustain that amount every month, and that's something I got to keep a close eye on, is building that up. It's going to take a little bit longer. Right now I'm at about $450 in dividends every month that hit that margin down. So if we think the exponential increase on this, I probably can get close with the amount of income I can pull in from my bank account to keep the margin down at about 2 years from now, being able to sustain that. So if you want to keep that going, definitely like and subscribe, see how that's going to keep going over the next few months. And also any questions that you have about my overall strategy, anything that I could change, or anything that you might want to see happen besides just dumping everything into ULTY over the next few months, about how the overall process works, definitely just leave it in the comments and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.